It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
No fear here on Declare Your Independence of me, Ernest Hancock, from the Sonoran Desert. Well, we're talking to our good friend, Mr. Jordan Page. Now, Jordan Page has been working on, a lot of things. The boy's always busy. And one of the things that he's doing now, the Book of Atlas. Now, a couple of years ago, I was up in Washington State where he's at now. We're visiting up there on a regular basis, and I saw his studio there. It's looking pimp. He's got his studio. He's going to be a recording studio for himself and big giant rock bands, it looks like. But a lot of this studio equipment is for video editing, and he has embraced AI. And what fun can we have? You get a creative mind, and the diligence he can put towards this stuff, and the hundreds of hours of a passion project that he's been building. And he was showing me a lot of the things that he could do, and a lot of things that I could do, that we all can do. I call Jordan, man. He's all over it. Well, what he's done is he's built a superhero movie using AI, and the graphics are amazing. The story behind it, that's what we're going to find out. But the graphics have been awesome. Hollywood be dead. I'm just saying, when you got individuals and creative minds like Jordan can do this kind of thing, what the hell you need them for? So, what did he do? He created a feature film. Hours. Oh my God, hours. But it has a story. And we're going to hear about that story. Now, he has an event coming up. It's going to be a live online preview thing you can sign up for. We'll talk about that. But the impact this will have on the community, we'll talk about it. We'll see. Because I want to make sure you guys understand the reasoning behind it, what the story is, why, how we've lived it over the decades here, crypto coming on, and the threats to it, what the promise was. The promise. Well, that's what this movie is about. We're going to talk about it. Jordan Page, tell us what's up, man.
Hey, Ernie. Good to hear your voice, buddy. We're, super excited about Book of Atlas. Been working on it for about 2 years, and it's basically finished. So we're going to show it to the world. We're planning an online premiere screening, and we've set up this beautiful website, thebookofatlas.com, where people can watch the movie trailer, and they can just see what all the characters are and what it's all about. We decided to do an online premiere to give the crypto community like the first look at it. So the way that you would participate is you would either spend Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana, because those are the 3 blockchains that I cover in the movie, and you would essentially mint an NFT movie ticket. So you get you're paying $20 for a movie ticket like you would normally at a movie theater, but you're getting an NFT version of your movie ticket, and you're getting another NFT called a POAP, a proof of attendance protocol, and it's just like a little commemorative collectible that you get as a gift as well. And then if people collect all 3, because there's one for Bitcoin, one for Ethereum, and one for Solana, if they collect all 3, they get a 4th one. That's a secret one. That's a kind of a reveal in the movie, but they get an extra one as a thank you. So we're, like my team is working hard to get ready for the premiere. We're planning it for March 29th. Right now, that's a tentative date. We're going to really start pushing it online on social media very soon. And, we're kind of partnering with crypto influencers and just folks with big audiences to help us sell tickets and doing an affiliate thing. And but yeah, so I mean the movie is, like you said, it was a passion project, but I can kind of tell you the story of how this all came together if you
please do.
Okay, so Firefly Education Network, this is the hat that I'm wearing. That is the business that we just launched in January, and we've been building it and working towards it really since January of since 2021. We raised some money in 2023 to create this online homeschooling platform to help families get out of the public school system and the private school system for that matter, but particularly the public school system. And my wife and I, as you know, we have 7 children that we've homeschooled for 14 plus years, and with great success. And we really saw the agenda of, as you call them, they, them, those. We saw the agenda at work in what they're teaching teachers, because my wife Mary was getting her master's degree in teaching, and we saw firsthand how this is all happening. They're indoctrinating the teachers early, and then those teachers are going out and indoctrinating all the children, and that's how you get these huge populations of kids that hate America and hate their families and hate themselves and want to change their genders and all that nonsense. So we just decided to push forward and to create something that would help people get out, And so, fast forward a few years, we've created this education platform for homeschool families to help them be successful, and it's called Firefly Education Network. And 2 years ago, we were going to release this NFT collection when NFTs were still kind of a bigger thing. And NFTs have kind of the fervor around them has really kind of died down. But at the time, I had this beautiful NFT collection of all these Firefly NFTs, this beautiful AI artwork that was really, really great. And I made 6 animated shorts. They were like 2 to 10 minutes long. And I would take some of the NFTs and I would put them in these little films as plot devices or set pieces, just like the films were centered around these fireflies to show off the artwork. That was what the purpose was. And some of them were just really awesome. I made like 3 of them, and then I was like, I got more stories I want to tell. They were all like sci-fi fantasy stories. And then I made a 4th one. I said, I want to do a character this time. Like, in the first 3, there's a guy standing in front of this gigantic alien spaceship that's shaped like one of our fireflies. In the second one, it was a little boy standing inside this stone labyrinth, and this gigantic eyeball in the wall, like a huge, huge eyeball, opens, and the little boy looks into the eye, and then the camera goes into the eye, and then inside you see this flash of all of these Firefly NFTs. And then the third one, there's a mysterious man walking toward this monolithic structure with this giant firefly, as the symbol on this giant tower, and it called the Citadel. And I wanted to make a character, and so I thought it would be really fun to do like a medieval knight story, and I called him Sir NFT, and he fights the Knight of the Red Shield. And for those of you who are, fans of history, or, who are any libertarians out there, that the Red Shield is Rothschild, right? And I did this story where this knight fights this Knight of the Red Shield, and inevitably the knight morphs into this gigantic black kraken. He gets into the ocean, so he escapes and gets into the ocean, and he becomes this huge octopus creature called the Creature from Jekyll Island, which, as we all know, is G. Edward Griffin's book about the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve was this, horrible monstrosity of a bank that was conceived on Jekyll Island off the coast of Georgia. And so Sir NFT fights the creature, and retrieves the Genesis block. Okay, and the Genesis block is this cube that has the Bitcoin symbol on it, and it is this artifact that this creature has stolen, and it's how it's able to morph into the Knight of the Red Shield, and back and forth between that and the creature. And I love this story so much, and I was like, okay, the next one's going to be a superhero. And so I said, okay, so we did Bitcoin with the Genesis block. Now we got to do Ethereum. And so I created this superhero called Lux Ethereum, which is he's like a dark purple superhero that is, fighting centralization. And there's another, like one of these, tentacled monsters in a city with TVs on the ends of its tentacles. And it's telling people to vote and go to sleep and accept war and slavery. And then one of the TVs says CBDC on it, central bank digital currency. And Lux Ethereum flies into it with his fist and destroys it. And he's just a really cool looking superhero. Think like, I don't know, Spawn meets Superman. Like Spawn and Prowler meets like Superman. He's really cool. And in the movie, he's like a sarcastic guy. He's kind of dark, but he's cool. He's a good guy. And then after that, I said, I always had a love of Greek mythology, so I'm going to do a Greek hero. And we did this guy Decentricles. Instead of like Hercules, it was Decentricles, and his quest to find the Solana stone. Solana being another blockchain, one of the more prominent blockchains, and he has to fight his way through this ancient labyrinth to find the Solana stone, and he meets this ancient griffin, a winged lion named Consensus. You see where this is going? Like, I'm using all of these blockchain terms to tell an overall story, mythologizing these technologies as ancient artifacts of mystical power. And so I had these 6 stories, and I showed them to my chief marketing officer, Damien, and he loved them. He was like, no other NFT group out there has anything like this. He's like, you should make a 7th one to tie all of these stories together. And I was like, that's a cool idea. I could do that. And so I started thinking about how I could weave these 6 stories into one unified narrative, and it ended up becoming this like massive project, this feature-length film, because I realized as soon as I began, I had a larger story I wanted to tell. It's like I'm delivering, history in a way that most people maybe haven't learned the history. I'll give you an example. In the movie, in the Sir NFT segment, which in the movie his name is Sir Nakamoto from Trent, Sir NFT, and it's an homage to Satoshi Nakamoto, who's the inventor of Bitcoin. He is fighting the Knight of the Red Shield, and the knight the knight gets bested in single combat, but he refuses to yield, and he calls for his horse to come carry him away, and the horse's name is Napoleon. Okay, and he gets on his horse and rides away. Sir NFT calls his horse Rothbard, after Murray Rothbard. And so the Knight of the Red Shield is riding Napoleon all the way to the ocean, and so that he can get back into the ocean and turn into the creature from Jekyll Island. Well, that is a symbolic representation of when Napoleon Bonaparte was defeated at the Battle of Waterloo. Baron de Rothschild sent a false word back to London that Napoleon had won, which caused all of the markets to plummet, and he went in and bought all the banks. And that's how the Rothschild family became so powerful, and just became like the dominant force in Europe. And so, like the Knight of the Red Shield is riding Napoleon to the ocean to become this giant conglomerate monster. So I've inserted all of these like historical and libertarian and crypto Easter eggs throughout the film that anybody who has any connection to any of those spheres will understand these references. I mean, they're throughout the movie.
Do you get a cheat sheet like they had to do for Dune? I mean, that we know all this stuff, but it is fascinating references and Easter eggs for this kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. It's an educational thing. Is there a cheat sheet? I mean, do people need to? Is it going to be revealed in the movie or after or before, or some people understand what you're referencing and all this battle between peer-to-peer and the creature from Jekyll Island, or they just got to figure it out later?
I think that, I mean, our hope with this is to build community around it with this first showing. Our goal is to sell about 10,000 tickets and to have just to start building an audience for it. I mean, there's 450 million crypto users in the world, and I felt that they needed to have their own superheroes. And so I became aware of Bitcoin in 2010, Ernie, when it was still 33 cents. And so I would consider myself an early adopter, and I've seen the entire journey that it's taken, for better or worse. And something I really want to remind people about is it began as a movement to subvert the Federal Reserve System, right? It was a freedom movement, and the Ron Paul movement was really the driving force behind all of the early transactions, like in a major way. Now, I would credit Ross Ulbricht with creating the marketplace that gave Bitcoin its huge boost,
which is why he had to go down.
Exactly, that's exactly why. But the people that were pushing it originally, I mean, I remember spending Bitcoin at PorcFest when it was only it was like less than $20 or something. It
was a smoothie. It was $6. I remember Doug Smoothie came out and how he became a gazillionaire. He was sitting there with his smoothie cart, selling smoothies. You want to get Bitcoin? I'll show you how to get Bitcoin.
Yep.
It's a $6 Bitcoin gets you.
That's smoothie. That's a lot of Bitcoin, man. And I also have about 50 T-shirts in my closet that
$100,000 each.
Oh yeah, about $100,000 each. Like I had the most expensive. Louis the 14th got nothing on my T-shirt collection.
I'm with you, brother.
So, but without people like us doing that, Ernie, does Bitcoin take off? I don't know. I mean, I feel like we were part of a.
No, we
that
knew
story.
you had to spend. You had to make it a market. You had to, because of the speed of it. It was easy. It was cheap to transact. It was supposed to be anonymous, and it was all the features that we were looking for in certainly in online money, and we were spending it. Like now, here we're promoting Xano in our community out here, but you have to spend it. You get a bunch so that you can share it. We're doing the same thing we were with Bitcoin. Oh, I get this wallet here. I'll pay you, give you some of this, and do that. And then it goes up, and they're like, "Whoa, what the hell, man? That was cool." And the promise of crypto is what I'm hoping that this movie is about. It is. Who the enemies are, the superheroes going up against them with the technology to be able to do it. But as time has gone on, you can see how Bitcoin got hijacked, but the concept didn't. The idea, the promise, and the technology in the hands of people, that are creative and understand what it was really about, it continues. And I'm, we're still up against the same guys, regardless of, how they co-opt a lot of this stuff. But because you got the Trump administration wrapping arms and legs around crypto, and you know what that means. So this is coming away from this. Is this a revisit to the concept, to the promise, to what can be, or is it an homage to what's happening? I mean, where's the time frame of this?
This is for sure an homage to what it was. And how it began and what it's supposed to be. And, we're planning this as part of a larger cinematic universe, and the story can continue. Depending on if how successful we are with it. I'm hoping to license the film later this year, and to markets around the world. Like, that's part of our roadmap. But right now, we're just trying to get it out to the crypto community and let them see it, and remind them what this was all supposed to be about. I mean, at one point in the story, the crypto Avengers, if you will, because like the main character goes on a quest to retrieve all of these artifacts, the Genesis block, the Ethereum diamond, and the Solana stone, and he needs those in order to open a portal to the Firefly realm, where he goes to get this power called the Deepest Light, and that power is how he's going to defeat the main enemy, which is this sentient alien AI that's come to Earth to subjugate humanity. And this AI has destroyed worlds before. It destroyed the planet that it was from, and it came here through like a quantum gate, and now it's here to do the same thing to us. And but what this AI really represents, and its robot army and all of it, and it has these giant robotic octopuses that are its generals. What it represents is totalitarianism and state, and like the force of the state, and monopolies on violence, and that it's doing it for our own good. It sees itself as righteous, and it sees itself as the answer to all the problems with humanity. And so on one side of the battle, you have this giant AI that wants to destroy everything. On the other side, you have the creature from Jekyll Island, who's this gigantic kraken that represents the banking cartels. And you have the crypto team pitted between these two forces that are in cahoots with one another, because in reality they are, and so it's up to these crypto heroes to defeat them both, which I'll save the ending, but I'll say this: there's a ton of libertarian philosophy in this movie too. It's about crypto. It's about the history of crypto done symbolically through mythology and mythological storytelling. Yes, but there's tons of history in it. There's tons of libertarian philosophy. All of the characters, if you look at the screen right now, like Atlas's love interest, her name is Hashima Retiris, and she is one of the daughters of Cypher. Cypher is the Greek island where Decentricles is from, and you see his story. And Hashima Retiris is hash rate, and then one of the Atlas's guides and mentors is General Vitalik, which is named after Vitalik Buterin. And then Satoshi is a character, and he is an ancient samurai warrior who was the guardian of Atlantis. My son Andrew is in this movie. He is Andreas, which is named after Andreas Antonopoulos, who was a major voice in Bitcoin and blockchain. And so there's all these characters that are play completely into the crypto culture and just all the different technological terms. And the Demiurge is the main villain. And it's and you can see the creature from Jekyll Island on screen in that little in that thumbnail there, that animated thumbnail. So it's a really fun movie. It's dark and gritty. It's not super campy, even though some of the puns in themselves might be a little campy. The story is pretty intense, and it covers a lot of things like fatherlessness. The main character grew up without his father. And so he suffers with a lot of the things that people without fathers or bad fathers suffer with, like imposter syndrome and not feeling like they're qualified to fight this battle, even though they've been chosen. You were born for such a time as this. And that's one of the lines in the movie that the Griffin tells him: you were born for such a time as this, and this is a task that's been appointed to you. And so the main character Atlas really kind of becomes a man, as he goes through this very insane journey that starts, with a book that he inherits from his father and from his grandfather. And the book is this ancient book, and he's never actually read it, but he knows that he remembers his grandfather and his dad being obsessed with it when he was little. And he starts reading this book and realizes that all these weird things that are happening in the world are written in this old book, and there's correlation there. and it sends him on a quest to save the world. So
well, it's just as it is now. I mean, it's all that's old is new again. The let me more than a film. Let me read this. This kind of encapsulates what you're doing here. Birthed from a series of animated short films between 2 and 10 minutes long, the Book of Atlas is a celebration of crypto culture full of Easter eggs for the crypto enthusiasts, libertarians, and historians to discover. It is a hero's quest through time and space, a sci-fi fantasy epic. Yeah, epic, man. It's not a short movie. And a commentary on the state of affairs in the world. Written and directed by a human, the Book of Atlas is more than a film. It is a love letter to the blockchain community. That is what I got out of it. This was, we're going to, get everybody involved, and everybody will understand the references that are in the community. And then, the newbies, the young people, the ones, what's this all about? This may be a segue for them into the community to understand what this battle has always been about. And it's been going on forever. And now it's manifested digitally right in front of us, and we're in the Book of Revelation, man. Are you going to get the mark of the beast or you're not? Are you going to be the Firefly defending? Are you a hero in your own movie? Or are you going to be subjugated by AI? So this is, and at the end of it, you want to create the community around it to what? What's the community for?
Well, with any movie, you want to build an audience for it. This is, I would say this is going to, like, our goals for this would be to have it become like a crypto version of Marvel, where all of these characters have rich backstories that are touched on, but that could be expanded. We could do a sequel or a spin-off for Sir NFT or for Lux Ethereum and give them their own films. We also have plans to do sequels that are a continuation of the story where it ends, in this. And just build excitement and enthusiasm for the characters and the worlds, because it really is, kind of a cinematic universe where you have these different worlds that are all connected. And I don't want to give too much away about the film, because the plot of the film is really fun to discover as you go along. But there's so much to explore in this, and I found that as I was making, that's why it ended up so long. I'm gonna cut it down. There's gonna be a shorter version, of course, but we've also thought about doing it as a series and breaking it up into 25-minute episodes and releasing it as a season too. That is another option. But for this first showing, we're for all of the early Book of Atlas adopters, we're going to show them the whole film and let them see the whole thing. And then later on, we may break it up. When it comes to distribution, it may work better as a series. I don't know.
Let me share some initial thoughts. When I was a kid, mid 60s, I'm 5 years old or something like that. Comic books was a big deal. Yeah. And it still is. I mean, it's so it has such a nostalgia for a lot of people. They're comic books, Spider-Man 1 or something, worth $1 gazillion. But when Marvel was adapted into movies and they went through the Avengers series and so on, they were true to the comic books. Now, of course, then the trans activist, whatever, gets into DC and makes, Robin gay and Superman, getting raped in prison, a kryptonite bars, and Batman's got to go save him, and truth, justice, and a better tomorrow instead of the American. I mean, they trash the crap out of it. But the original canon, the original comic books, that was the imagination that just got the youth that, it's a comic book. It's just, it's little bubble phrases of one sentence, whatever. But the children, we filled in all the blanks. The world was created in our minds. And that, was able to be translated into film. When they did Iron Man, I was hooked. I was like, woo, man, let's go get some. So what happened is they had all of this originally was from comic books, from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, all the Captain America, these Superman, these DC and Marvel comics. Stan Lee was, building this entire universe, and then they make it the film. You get Batman, you get Superman, you get Iron Man. And what happens is these competing heroes, had their own characters and so on, and their own mythology. Here in America, our heroes, our mythology, our Zeus, Apollos, Hercules, and all that were Marvel DC comics. Well, when that went to film and was CGI and so on, they did something. But it came from an original source, an original imagination, a cartoonist, a comic book guy. Now, then they started doing graphic novels, and that's where V for Vendetta came from. All of a sudden, it became a larger comic, in a comic novel, as a full series or season or whatever, and that became a very popular movie. So this is what I feel that Jordan has tapped into. Instead of doing a comic book, he's doing a, AI feature film presentation, creating and starting to fill out the heroes in the story, which have, as you described, a future. They got their own backstories. They got their own thing. You got to do the Aquaman. You got to do Green Lantern. You got to do, and then they all come together. Later or whatever. So this has potential, and it has potential of a time stamping, a very important mile marker in human development, evolution, history, that we have always been up against this creature from Jekyll Island in whatever form it's taken. I care not what laws are made, it's who controls the money, and I be the money, So it's still under attack. I mean, we're in the middle of the battle right now. And for this to be the promise of what this was all about, what was the goal? What do you say you're doing here, So as you do that, this could be, I haven't seen the film. I've watched the trailer and seen the graphics, and you showed me when you were down. I'm like, holy shit. This is going to be powerful. That's why when we started Freedom's Phoenix, 96, we had the concept, and I'm going, not till video hits the internet. That'll never happen. Bandwidth and dumb kid, you don't know any better. And I'm going, you watch. When video hits the internet, all of a sudden, and we start getting digital. Then I see in Adobe Photoshop, you can change lights and get angles and recreate photos lifelike or whatever. Then it hit animation. Then you're doing, real life, CGI, and you get the, Jinx character from Star Wars, gag me. But, this was when they had the writer-actor strike here last couple of years. This was their main concern. They're going, we're out of business. They're just going to create superheroes, CGI of something, maybe take a picture. And even in the 80s, there was a movie called Looker, which was all about this. This stuff we've known is coming. Well, it's here. And you put this power in the hands and the mind of somebody creative like Jordan Page, that all of a sudden he gets a connection with the infinite, and all of a sudden, boom, a song pops out. Well, now he's got a movie popped out. And this is going to be, and the potential, I've seen it before. When they started doing movies like Iron Sky, which was totally digital and outside the studios, they wouldn't touch it. No, we're not going to distribute it. It's not going to films. And then now it's on every streaming platform all over. I can see that this would do the same thing. But it's not just a timestamp of what Crypto and Creature from Jekyll Island and Central Control and Central Plan and AI and all. It's not just what it's going. It's the promise from the beginning. How we can identify the good, the bad. Who are the good guys? Who are the bad guys? Now, I want to dwell on that for a little bit. Is what are the traits of the good guys and the bad guys? What is the confrontation over?
In the film, the confrontation is, well, one, there's a confrontation within the main character, Atlas, trying to come to terms with the fact that he has been tasked with this monumental thing that he has to do, and he doesn't believe that he can do it, which in the end, of course he does. And he pushes through even though he's afraid. He pushes through even though he's not sure, and he's all alone. But over the course of the movie, he accumulates allies. But the main conflict is that you have this totalitarian mind, which is the demiurge, that believes that it has the divine right to rule. It believes that it is a god, and that all other beings are lesser, and that that we are all its children, and that it needs to improve us and take away our freedom of independent thought. That would be a gift. At one point he does enslave someone important in the story, and says, I've given him the ultimate gift, freedom from independent thought, and he now wields power that you cannot imagine, and he has this vision for all of humanity to be united in this hive mind, and so that it can rule supreme. But it of course it has no soul, and it's this sentient malevolence, and it wants to destroy everything, and take away people's freedom. There's a great debate in this film between one of the main characters and the demiurge about the nature of freedom, and about like the nature of tyrants and the history of tyrants. And there's a lot of famous quotes in it that are really great. But the movie is about freedom from tyranny. That's essentially what it's about. And I've used symbolically blockchains because they held and hold promise of decentralizing the public from central banking, which is the bane of human existence. I mean, all of our wars that are being fought are all paid for through like the Department of War is entirely is financed by the Federal Reserve System. We are paying for our own enslavement through taxation. And so, blockchain technology and these cryptocurrencies that resulted from it are and have always been a promise of freedom from that centralized system. Centralized financing has caused more bloodshed than just about anything in history. So I really am taking on the central banks in this film, and centralized power. The main character is presented with a choice at one point in the film, to be able to essentially rule the world. He's given this option, and he makes the right choice. It's like the libertarian philosophy of we want to take over so we can leave you alone.
You're free. I'm going golfing.
Yeah, it's not my job to govern you. You need to govern yourself. And so the main character has very libertarian beliefs, and my son Andrew's character is extremely libertarian. I would consider him a radical libertarian in this film. And he 0 F's given by this guy. He's really, really great. So it's a lot of fun, but it takes on some pretty heavy subject matter, symbolically, but the world there is open to where I can, like in the next one, I can incorporate a bunch of other blockchains, and mythologize them or give them character create artifacts for them.
A new one.
What's that?
A new one. The new superhero. Ta-da, here I am to save the day. Whatever it is.
Well, it's not campy. Like, it's pretty dark. Like, there at one point there's a nuclear war on another planet. Like, you're watching a story from the past unfold, and the demiurge unleashed a nuclear holocaust on his planet. It's intense. It's wild. I mean, I'm not saying it's not suitable for kids. I mean, my kids think it's awesome, but I wouldn't show it to kids younger than 7 probably. I mean, it's much more for like teenagers, young adults, and adults. Just because some of the references are going to be over their heads, but it's still visually, it's really appealing. It's really, really fun. I mean, the technology blows my mind. Like what you say, yes, I'm a creative mind. Yes, I always have been. And you put tools in my hands, I'm going to do something wild with it. I mean, John Lennon said, I'm an artist. Give me a tuba, I'll get you something out of it. You know what I'm saying? So, I essentially got the power to create movie clips in my hands.
I realized that when we talked.
Yeah,
this is what happened. We were up there, and I go over to Jordan's, and he shows me his studio here. He has a barn next to his home, and he built, they have classrooms in there. They got a bunch of kids, and he has his own studio that's getting pimped, by the way. It's keeps expanding, getting more and more capabilities. But he was like, here, watch this. And he was showing me segments of this movie and the animation and the capability that he had doing this. And there's a story I tell my grandkids, so the purple gorilla, it's a long story, but
I remember the purple gorilla.
And it's a cool story. I mean, my kids, they love it. The young ones, they haven't heard it yet, and you animate it, whatever. But it's don't touch the purple gorilla, and it chases you down and wants to play tag. Tag, you're it. And that was kind of the end thing of it. Skip to the end. But there were scenes in a cave. And I go, I need a purple gorilla, then a cave with little kids kind of, boom. Within a minute or two, it was, I go, well, there's the book. I could do this illustrated book. I could do an animation. I could, and it'd take me freaking, a year to figure out how to do it. Jordan did that. Jordan went through all of this stuff on forums, different codes, different styles, different looks, different shading, different, to be able to make this film. And by the time that he was showing me what he had done, he had already spent gazillion hours on doing this. When you do that and you get into something like this, you get in a zone and you start developing and building and so on, you kind of remove yourself from the mass population. It's in this whole story in your head, and you want to express it. Well, there's a reason. Why? Why did you get so enraptured with this, not just the technology, but the capability of telling a story? What was your motivation for doing it?
I think it's multifaceted. I think one part of it was I was making a tool to market Firefly. Ultimately, it began as a way to market this NFT collection to raise money and awareness for Firefly. And we still haven't released the NFT collection, but it exists, and we'll probably release it after the film. If the film gets some traction, we'll release the NFT collection because it was the genesis of it. But what drove me to keep doing it is I'm a storyteller, Ernie. I mean, if you've ever seen me perform live as a singer-songwriter, I tell stories. And every song has a story. And I love telling stories. And this gave me the ultimate storytelling capability. I've always been a fan of films, and particularly directors. I always loved Oliver Stone and Martin Scorsese. There's a lot of directors that I've like Terry Gilliam. I mean, there's so many directors that I've just loved through the years and watched all of their films. To me, it isn't about the actors; it's about the directors and their style. And I have there's all these genres that I've loved growing up that had this impact on me. And I've kind of amalgamated them all and put them into this movie. I mean, it was a story I wanted to tell. Crypto's really getting its teeth kicked in right now in the culture. It was just with all the nonsense going on, and I'm telling a story about what it was supposed to be and why we got into it in the first place. It was a method for us to get out under the thumb of the central banking system, and I wanted to really like you read earlier, write a love letter to the blockchain community and to the libertarian community too. Actually, if I'm really being truthful, it's because it's full of libertarian references. And I mean, Ernie, if you watch this movie, you're gonna get about 100 references out of this thing. You're gonna be like, oh, I totally get that. I know what he's talking about. And I mean, I even quote Kamala Harris in this movie, or I say the Demiurge quotes Kamala Harris at one point in the film, which is it's really funny. If you know, you know. There's a lot of if you know, you knows in this, but it was a story I wanted to tell. I could have made this thing 15 minutes long and just phoned it in, but I wouldn't have this opportunity. Now this is a thing where we're getting interest from distributors and we're going to be marketing this thing to film buyers. You know, I mean, it's and we can expand it. I mean, comic books. I'm kind of doing it differently. Like I love that you brought up the comic books. You know, because I loved comic books as a kid. My kids love comic books, but I see, you know, Book of Atlas. It's like I started with the Avengers, and then we'll go out and do the individual stories and make comic books and make video games and action figures and all that once it's got traction. But that all of that is for sure possible. But it's all centered around, you know, this idea of freedom from the freedom community. Like that's where I'm from. You know, that's where I got my start and my roots. That's who I am at my, you know, part of my core is I'm a freedom person. I'm a liberty person. And well, so, you know,
but you're a creative person. And I want to share, we've done, you know, shows before promoting Firefly and so on. And I remember before he got into really doing the animation part, AI was able to help manifest graphics for a children's book that was for his children.
Yeah.
Because each one of his gazillion kids has their own origination story. You know, we found you in a flower petals, you know, kind of. You were, you know, a hot dog, or I mean, whatever the hell it was. I mean, you come up with all these creative things.
Yes, I did.
Well, there was a book that had the graphics of their origination story. You know, where did I come from, Dad? Well, let me tell you, we found you on a heap of something, you know. And I can't remember all of the stories, but they had graphics. And Jordan, having these technologies available to him, were able to put it into a book, which is why I knew he could do my Purple Gorilla thing.
Right.
I didn't know he could do it in a minute and a half. But, you know, this is tools for a creative, artistic mind that you put them in his hands and give him the time to do it. All of a sudden, boom, you get, you know, the Book of Atlas. And what's going to happen from there? And how many people did it take? I mean, I got the impression you were doing this on your lonesome. This was Jordan sitting in front of a computer every day, you know, piecing this together. You know, what other tools other than the software did you have available? What forums, what amount of effort, what research did you have to do to get the capabilities that's manifested in just a trailer? I mean, holy crap. You know, I don't know how much it took, you know, 3 years and 10 minutes to be able to do that, you know, kind of thing. So tell us about the process you came to get up to speed to be able to produce this quality of a film.
Well, I was very much on my own for at least a year and a half, you know, into this process. I ended up getting, you know, really getting some great advisors who are also working in AI animation to turn me on to some better tools. You know, I mean, I thought that I had all the greatest tools, and what I ended up really with was an animated storyboard. You know, like the film was like a storyboard that moved, and but then, you know, I would get turned on to these new tools, and then I would be able to recreate scenes. I mean, I've remade this movie probably 4 times, and as the tools have improved, to make it more and more realistic. I mean, the graphics that I've achieved with this film would have cost, you know, like traditionally with CGI and live action, a movie like this would be in probably, you know, $80-90 million. Yeah, to create it. But I'm doing it, you know, at home with my computer, because the tools have just improved so much. It's staggering. I mean, a buddy of mine who's in the film industry said that special effects are generally, you know, categorized by decades. Like the 80s, you know, the special effects were what they were in the 80s, then the 90s, the 2000s, and so on and so forth, and how they've improved. And he said, but AI animation and AI graphics, it's judged by months. You know, like
wow.
From this past December, from then till now, it's improved exponentially. And I'm actually going back and recutting certain scenes because I can make them look like far less cartoony and more like real people. And that is really, really, you know, wild what you can do. But I mean, that's actually been true for quite a while. But even since December, it has improved dramatically. So I've had a lot of help in terms of people giving me feedback and telling me, you know, this is confusing, or or actually, I mean, when I first sent the shorts to someone, like they just didn't get it at all, and they gave me some pretty harsh feedback. But that feedback really helped me to really create this cohesive storyline. My wife has been, a great sounding board. My son Andrew has played a huge part in helping me craft the story, and my CMO Damien, was a colossal, force in terms of being my sounding board and giving me ideas for how to take it in this direction or that direction, and he was really the inspiration for the whole thing, because he's the one that told me to combine all of these stories together. But I ran with it. I had so many things that I wanted to say, and I'm doing it, like the same way that I would write a song and use poetry to be the delivery method for the meaning, even though it's sort of veiled. It's like you know what I'm talking about, but I'm the same way I'm using mythology to tell a story about like a history, the real history, as well as the ideals that I hold, and things that I learned from you and from Ron Paul and from G. Edward Griffin and all these people that were these huge influences in my life. I'm telling that story using mythological characters and superheroes, and in a way that's palatable to the general public. And I'm also hoping that this movie will get people interested in crypto, and continue to build that out. But like, the next movie, I may introduce, Monero and Cardano and Litecoin and all these different things, and create characters or scenes around them, or like plot lines around them. And they're like, there's thousands of crypto chains, of blockchains. Many of them have their own unique characteristics and their own unique story, and I can build that and bake that into the plot, and continue to build this world. And one idea I recently had, because the main character has the ability to go into like a multiverse with, and I won't give all of that away, is maybe at some point Atlas comes to to Earth, like, he maybe where he lives is one version of Earth, but he comes here where blockchains are.
Whoa!
I think you.
I hit something.
Yeah, you clicked something. and Atlas would come to Earth, our Earth, and where like the Genesis block is this thing called Bitcoin. Because like in the movie, it's not called Bitcoin; it's the Genesis block, and it's this powerful artifact that he has. If you want to, go ahead and play the trailer. If you, I don't hear the audio.
Well, I didn't want to. I just haven't watched the graphics, while you talk. One of the things was. When you have the launch and people, you're going to get a lot of criticism. You're going to get feedback. That's just, part of the beast. And are you, from the original premiere of it, are you willing to make changes? Or are you like, screw you, this is it, I've changed enough? Or, show me some money and I'll make changes? I mean, what are you expecting from the premiere?
I expect people are going to love it, they're going to hate it, or they're not going to care, and that's okay. I mean, that's with anything. I think there'll be criticism. There'll be people that'll be like, why didn't you include this? Why didn't you do that? And my response to anything like that would be like, well, there's always the sequels, and spin-offs. I mean, who says I'm not going to include those things? This is the first chapter, I don't care. I mean, if people don't like it, they don't like it. I made this movie for me. I mean, like this is a movie I wanted to make, but I know there's an audience for it, because there's a lot of people out there that feel the way that I do, and know the things that I know, and I think people are going to enjoy it. I mean, it's a fun ride. So it's
an inspiration to anyone that wants to tell a story, and you have a good, relevant, mile marker, human history, needs to be shared story. That's one of the first things. What makes these mythological tales popular is that they're relevant. They tell a story. setting a standard for people behavior, what is virtuous and is not. These, and that's one of the things. What's the virtues? I mean, what is it that you're emphasizing in character here?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Well, you have, it's courage. It's never quit. It's Frodo, freaking, you go to Mount Doom and you're just going to, throw the ring in the fires of Mordor. You're going to be, truth, justice, American way. I mean, what are the virtues that are here? Like, it's not just freedom, it's, autonomy, or it's being able to share without controls. What are the virtues that you're emphasizing?
Oh, I see what you're saying. It's a great question, actually. I think, well, the main character has a lot of internal struggle to overcome in order to be successful in what he's trying to do and what he's been called to do. And he has to overcome this imposter syndrome that he can't, he can't do this. One of the other characters, really stands. He stands very much convicted in his beliefs, and even facing possibly death. He is basically spitting in the face of this horrific tyrant. He's bold and daring, and there is there's loyalty. I would say Hashima, his love interest. She's very smart. She's very powerful, but she's extremely loyal to him. Even in the face of danger, she's extremely loyal to him. I think it's like overcoming insurmountable odds, overcoming adversity, and finding the strength to keep going. Which is really like the story of the average human being these days. I mean, there's so many things that we have to overcome on a daily basis just to keep going.
I woke up. I'm still breathing. Yay!
Yeah, it's another day. But I don't know. I mean, there's. Gosh, this is a really great question. I'm really thinking about this now.
Well, the virtue. There's always a reason behind mythology. When you do, the lesson learned for telling the entire story was the point. Right. The point is you wanted to tell a story, give your perspective on whatever. I just wondered, what is that? And that's what makes these stories endure, because there's a basic fundamental lesson to be learned in all of them. It's like you watch The Princess Bride. You think this happens every day. This is true love. We're going to go through all this stuff, and in the end, we kiss in the sunset. I mean, there's always an overriding something. And this is, and probably it's not even really fully fleshed out yet, because you have such an imagination in each one of these characters, and new chains and new goals and new. This is, for the layman, the next generation next, to be able to decipher and understand and be inspired not just by the story, but by the capability to tell their own story. And you have always been an inspiration to people. So this is, I'm just inspired to what? You know? So
I think I understand it, what you're asking, and it's definitely courage. And I've always defined courage for my children as not being not afraid, right? It's like, it's being afraid, but still doing what needs to be done, even though you're afraid.
The definition of courage.
Yeah. And the main character, Atlas, is definitely, he definitely has some apprehensions about what he has to do, and he talks about it, but he still pushes through, even though, he's in this incredibly unreasonable situation, and the most insane stuff keeps happening to him, left and right. But he pushes on, even though he's exhausted, even though he's like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to fight this giant thing. Like he pushes forward, and again he is given this choice toward the end of the movie, that where he is given basically the ring of power and said, you can do whatever you want, and he's like, I want to leave people alone.
Peace.
I mean, like, and that I think is his most heroic moment, because everyone's looking at him, everyone's wondering what's he going to do, and he makes the right choice. And I really wanted people to see, a man in that situation where he is given the opportunity to be completely corrupted and to take the power all for himself, and instead he gives it to the whole world rather than keep it for himself. And I think that that was something I really, really wanted to show on film, was that.
One thing that I wanted to share that I did years ago, I had a set show that had all the IMDb, information on each of these movies, and it was Braveheart, Gladiator, Lord of the Rings, V for Vendetta, some others, and so on. And the point that I was making is Matrix. What made these blockbusters? Why were they blockbusters? And I was at Air America, communist radio and token libertarian kind of thing. And I go, look, we see this stuff differently. We're looking at different things. Why are these? You want to look at the blockbusters. You want to look at where people voted with their money. They wallet voted. They went to the theater. Why? Why did they do? What did they see? What did they identify with this movie? And each one of those had one common thread. It was the individual versus the collective, against the empire of the empire or some empire. And it was the individual. It was, Maximus, the general in Gladiator. In Patriot, it was the Mel Gibson character. In Lord of the Rings, it's Frodo with the ring, putting it in the fires of Mordor. In Braveheart versus, Longshanks, the king of whatever. You have, the Matrix, the individual versus the architect and the program. You had every single one of these blockbusters was always about the individual struggle, the protagonist, the hero of the movie going through the same thing you just described. You just keep going on because it's the right thing to do. You can't not. You can't live with yourself or, will you die on your deathbed wishing that you had one chance to say they'll not take your freedom? I mean, that kind of thing. So we see this manifested at the box office. And I said, that's why these movies are such blockbusters and so popular, because the American people, and probably people around the world, still identify with the courage to do the right thing against insurmountable odds. And then a lot of people do that. They're trying to beat that out of us, chemical it out of us, mRNA is out of us, that there would even be one person. But there's always the Neo. There's always something. There's always a Jordan Page, okay, that will take and do this kind of work up against insurmountable odds because I'm just doing it because I'm doing it, get over it. And a lot of us in the liberty community, that we're like that, and so many people go to jail. So many people die. So many people are discouraged. So many people, but there's always a Neo. There's always that one. There's always the few. There's always the mythology. There's always the heroes. There's always the comic book, the animation, the movie that's inspiring for other people. When the time is right, you can't stop it. That is what we're celebrating. That humanity keeps on keeping on. And the reason is because there are individuals that refuse to be collectivized into the hive mind of, hey, I tell you what's up. I'm just saying. That's the heroes. That's the blockbusters. So the real movie, may be Book of Atlas, but it's the real movie is going to be the book of why Jordan Page made Atlas. I mean, this is the courage that's demonstrated in this stuff. So for people that wants to support this overall concept of courage in the face of the Kraken, or in the face of the creature from Jekyll Island. We'll mix up our heroes here. But, we got the, that right there is to be supported. You support that which you want to see more of. I want to see more of this. How do we support it? How do we get the tickets? How do we, be part of the origination of this so that we can get on the forum and email Jordan, man, that was awesome. but you did it wrong on this part. You need to have the different color suit, hair, whatever the hell. I mean, so what you're going to get, I'm just saying. But the and you got to be ready for that. You got to have the confidence. In fact, they'll implant trolls to do that, whether it's justified or not. So they need to sap the energy, the passion behind this out of it. That is what I see happen all the time. And those were the participation of the community and your willingness to, just persevere is what's going to make you the hero. The mythology of Jordan, Mr. Atlas. So let's go ahead and talk about in detail what people need to do to support this. Where do we go? How do we get tickets? What do we do? And forget, I don't even care about all that NFT brand. I that sounds like paperwork, or I got to push buttons or something, But go ahead and, what's the simplest way for us to support this and go watch it?
I love listening to you ask a question, Ernie. There's just so much that goes into an Ernest Hancock question.
Right. Well, it gets you an opportunity to monologue me. All right, go.
All right. So the website is thebookofatlas.com. And you can go there now and watch the trailer and learn about the characters and learn what this is that we're doing. And Ernie's, you're seeing some of it here on the show, and you can go and look yourself. We're going to be opening this up very soon. I mean, the website's there. You can go there now. We're going to be putting a counter on when tickets are going to go on sale. We're aiming for March 29th to do this global premiere. When you purchase a ticket, you purchase it with Solana, Ethereum, or Bitcoin. And when you do that, you can you will be minting yourself an NFT movie ticket. It doesn't require any extra effort. You're just, you connect your wallet, your crypto wallet, whether you're using Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana, and there's a ton of compatible wallets out there that will work. And my CMO Damien built this beautiful website that's fully blockchain functional, fully Web3 connected, and depending on which artifact or which currency you use, you get an NFT of you're getting an NFT on that chain, right? So if you play with Ethereum, you're getting an Ethereum-based NFT. And that is your movie ticket. And the website, when you connect your wallet, when you come back to the site, you connect your wallet, and the site knows that you purchased a ticket because it knows because it connected to your wallet and you bought a ticket through the site. And then you get through the gate and you watch the film. So we're going to do this as a live thing. We are taking on sponsors right now. Wait a minute,
you're doing it on your phone or your laptop?
You can watch it on your computer, on your phone, on your laptop, on your tablet, however, whatever device you're using.
Okay, now you got to clarify this connect to my device thing, to the wallet kind of deal. What are you talking about?
When you have a crypto wallet, when you make crypto purchases on a website, you connect your wallet. I mean, it's like it's a secure connection, and it doesn't know, who you are, but you just connect your wallet so that you can make the payment. And there's like a QR code type thing, and you make the payment. It's actually a very simple process. Okay, so it's the same as
doing a crypto transaction. It's on my device. Okay, so when you say connect, I don't know what you mean by connect. It's just
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not clarifying.
Hey man, I don't need to be connected.
I don't want to be connected. No. I'm out.
Well, no, I mean, I don't want the creature from Jekyll Island tentacle coming in grabbing my phone. I mean, I was like, how connected are we here?
Well, he's already done that, Ernie. The creature from Jekyll Island's already got his tentacles around your throat. So but this is a way trying to subvert all of that. So you pay with crypto and you get to watch this movie. You get to become part of a community. And, there's all this tribalism in crypto. And I'm a Bitcoin person. I'm an Ethereum person. Oh, no, I like Solana. And this is really about bringing all of these groups together in unity, under what this technology really means and what it was all supposed to be about. Right. And so we are also playing on that tribalism and saying, hey, let's sell each one of these things out in terms of how many tickets there are for each chain, and so it's a lot of fun. I think people who are in the crypto space are going to love it. I think libertarians and historians, people that know what's going on, anybody from the Ron Paul movement, I think they're going to love it. They're going to hear a lot of the language that they've used over the years. Yeah, you got to buy a ticket first, Ernie. You can't. You
yeah,
can't
but
watch
if I
it, you buy a
click it
ticket.
like 5 times, maybe it'll let me in.
It doesn't work that way.
4, 5. I guess not. All right,
Yeah.
get your ticket.
And people can watch the trailer and they can listen to the audio of the trailer and and really like get a sense of what's going on here. But again, our long-term goals with this would be to develop it into a live action thing. If we get enough traction, we could develop it into a live action series, or maybe a live action film. See what happens. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the road ahead is going to entail. But we are looking at licensing it.
I want to share this one story and to kind of add to my view on this. On Freedom's Phoenix, we had it's called Quantum Vibe, and it was Scott Beezer. Scott Beezer did some of the covers, for our Freedom's Phoenix e-zine, and he's a graphic artist that does novel covers, and he did a lot of it for L. Neil Smith and different sci-fi stuff and so on. So he's like, the original AI animation of I get a graphic kind of guy. Well, this is back when graphic artist used to be a growing career. Now AI has blown that out. But he did a comic series called Quantum Vibe, and we just go, yeah, we'll put it up. What? I had no idea. I didn't pay attention to it. You just click on the banner ad on Freedom's Phoenix, and you went to the regular. And when he stopped doing it, I got a flood of emails. They were like, hey, man, what the hell? I was watching. I had no idea how popular it was. And this is, you do this kind of stuff, you make it available for the series on, web pages, or you have, you get your tokens to be able to get it, and you're reminded because it's on some page or whatever. This could have legs. And I realized that from Quantum Vibe, how popular that was, and didn't even realize it. We just had it up on the site, and you click the banner, and that's where people accessed it. And when he stopped doing it, they were like, what the crap? So I can see there being a community culture around this, certainly in all the crap that's going on in crypto now, and it's all the same battle. It's just the same. We're trying to, save the message, the goal, the original peer-to-peer digital cash thing, but you could. And a lot of these characters, you may have, that turned bad, or it went, Bitcoin communist, or GoldmanSachs.gov coin, and, the infiltration of, and then the hero changes and gets. I mean, this could be, there's news every freaking day. How fast can you keep up with this stuff? I mean, a lot of times this stuff gets dated if you're the speed of which you can do production. What's your speed on keeping up with the news?
Well, this film is really like kind of it's been 16, 17 years since Bitcoin first came on the scene. And
you're telling the origination story, the promise, and what it was. But as you do, more episodes, you can create, the news, kind of like South Park. Man, 2 weeks later, boom, there's a South Park. Of course, they're not doing as good of graphics, but you understand my point.
I do understand your point, and I would say like there's still a lot of story that's even left to cover that I didn't even cover. There's a ton to cover, and there's so many other innovations in blockchain that I haven't covered. I really just grabbed the three most prevalent for Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum, who all have their own unique characteristics. But there's so many out there that have made particular innovations that I think would be great characters, or they would be great, artifacts or plot points. And there's just all this mythology to unravel that I purposefully didn't unravel. I hint at it and I show it that it's there, but I haven't unraveled it because I want to cover those things in the next one. So we really need support, I guess. Like how I would keep up with it is, we've got to be successful with it. So we need to build community, and we need to make some money to be able to invest in the next one. You know, I mean, we bootstrapped this one entirely. You know, it's for sure a Firefly, you know, Animation Studios production. That's a, you know, company that we started, Firefly Animation Studios, and you know, Book of Atlas is our first, you know, our first feature. So we're hoping that it will click, it will catch on, and people will like it and want more of it, and then we'll make more. I mean, there's so many stories to tell.
Well, this is a passion thing for you, and you're into it. You understand it. You've been part of it. You know all the people involved, and but you've demonstrated your movie making capability. So somebody's going to go to Firefly Animation Studio and say, "Hey, you know, here's some money. Make me a whatever." Absolutely. The answer is always yes. It's just how much. You know.
Right.
So
right.
It's are you starting to see this evolve? You know, as your music career has, you know, I'm sure you still get epiphanies for a song, you know, but you get an epiphany for animation or tools, or you doing other things. Is there other projects that's got you passionate for the future?
You know, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm so embroiled with this project right now, just trying to get it launched, that like I don't have other plans. But I have a lot of ideas for how to expand this.
I got plans. I need some Jordan plans. You need some plans. I got some plans, and I know there's a bunch of other people do too.
You want a Purple Gorilla show? That's
Purple
what
Gorilla.
you want.
Purple
I know
Gorilla.
what you want.
Purple Gorilla. You know, Purple Gorilla. You know, I should film me doing it with the grandkids, and then you'll get it. But the well, it's not just that. I just see when you have this kind of talent and you can demonstrate it, it becomes a career. It becomes in demand. It becomes, and I'm wondering how that would distract you, or if it could, or do you need to build out your animation studios? But it's really, how much of team members do you need once you get this kind of technology down? I saw you work. I was going, holy crap! Now that you've worked,
I see what you're saying.
It always takes 3 years to be able to do it in 15 minutes, you know, kind of thing. So
Ernie, I think if I had a team of 10 animators, I could turn something like this out now with the tools that exist now. With 10 animators working, we could turn something like this out in a few months. You know, I mean, it's crazy what you can do, and I don't want to cheapen the filmmaking process at all. It's like, yeah, I mean, like this took a long time. And because you're piecing the things together, 5 to 10 to 15 seconds of footage at a time, and then weaving it all together in different shots. And it's not as I don't want to make it sound like it's very simple to do, but if I had 10 more of me, I could have gotten this done a lot sooner. But at the same time, the tools have improved so dramatically since I started. Again, I said earlier, I've remade this film probably 3 to 4 times now. I don't know if there's any original shots in it from when I first began, because I've used the same source images, but I've reshot these scenes because they look so much better than they used to. You know, some shots were cartoony, or some shots even looked more almost like claymation at some point, and now they look like they're real actors actually doing these action shots. It's crazy.
Well, this is the point that I'm hopefully I can articulate it. If I took a table saw, chop saw, some hammers and drills and stuff, and put it in the center of the small town square, you know, how many people are going to take it up and build me a cathedral? I mean, you know, it doesn't matter the tools that you have. It's the mind, the imagination behind it. So there may be one 13-year-old kid all of a sudden make the Taj Mahal, you know, but you can't always count on that kid. Well, you can, you know, given a large enough demographic. But I'm looking at these tools are available now that we're going to be getting some amazing things. I've seen it already happen. You know, it was a you may remember him. There was one Lovolutionary that was, you got to see this movie. You got to see. And the reason was not because it was quality. You know, it had a great storyline. It was that it was done on somebody's home computer. And it was like, you know, freaking Hollywood quality of beat the crap out of them. And it doesn't matter that it was one person that did it. It's always one person that does it. There's always the author of the book. There's always the screenwriter. There's always the vision of the director. There's always, all these other tools, be it actors or AI, be it, scenery or CGI, being, green screen or live action or whatever. It tells the story that's in the mind of someone. And these came from comic books. It came from the imagination of individuals and teams. It came from the tools to do it. All of a sudden, that $300 million film that went broke because it only made $200 million is done for $10 million or $10,000, and then all of a sudden it influences the world. And this is and it's going to come from everywhere. It's going to be some kid in the barrio of Mexico or India or Bangladesh or the Siberia, Mongolian hills of Afghanistan, of whatever the hell, because the imagination is in the minds of an individual or a couple or some friends. And then what happens? You get Book of Atlas. And I am looking forward to not just what you've accomplished, but what you could accomplish, what you can accomplish in the hands of an artist, these tools. This is why I feel the man's so toast. They can't keep up. We got this AI, we're going to control it. Damn it, they did a Lovevolution. Damn it, they did the Book of Atlas. Damn it, they did some crypto. Damn it, they did. Man, there's freaking libertarians out there mucking up our shit, And we got to stop them. Damn it. Drink more fluoride. I mean, something. I'm telling you, that's what it is. It's the dial and the switches. And if we could add a little RNA to our lettuce, if we give a little shot here, we'll just dial humanity down a little bit. So when they're given these tools, they go, hammer, what this for? So this is, as long as we can maintain humanity's purity in our blood, our DNA, all right, which is what we really need to protect. And as long as humanity is there to keep marching on, it will. And these tools in the hands of people like Jordan will demonstrate the inspiration for Generation Next. That's why the quality of the animation and the story and the creation of a mythology, that what this mile marker in history was all about. What do you say your mission is? Well, Jordan's doing that. This is why I'm supportive, one, of anything Jordan does, and just tell you that. But, this particular mission to be part of this, and I'm going to have to push buttons and do stuff on my whatever. But, we go to the premiere of this, and you need to get your buckets of popcorn because this thing isn't short. Now, of course, with the criticism, we go, oh my God, I had to. Oh yeah, is it possible, or is it just going to be a live? It starts, and you better freaking get your urinal next to the couch because you're going to watch it, or do you get to rewind, pause? How does that work?
Oh yeah. You can pause and rewind. We're going to show it. We're going to stream it live, so that, or we're going to release it at a certain time that you open it up and it's gonna play. But then anytime you come back to the site, if you've bought a ticket, you can watch it at your leisure, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, I'm a leisure guy.
Yeah.
I'm an old man. I got small prostate. But, the one thing that I wanted to make sure that people understood is that this is more than just a premiere of Jordan's vision. It is a premiere of people like Jordan being able to share a vision. That's why we waited until video hit the internet before we launched Freedom's Phoenix, because I knew that when that happened, we had parity with the broadcast news. We could show images, real images, not made up images, not bullshit images that, a 13-year-old kid with an iPhone standing next to the suicide bomber crater, is what really happened. And then 3 minutes after that, it's all BS until 3 weeks when you find out 3 weeks, then you find out what really happened. Well, this technology is now in the hands of people like Jordan that is going to demonstrate how to tell a story, how to create a mythology, how to create heroes, how to create what this is all about. What is the mission? How is this being accomplished? What's the technology? And the technology to demonstrate the technology and inspire Firefly kids. Because this is all generated from the promotion of Firefly home education curriculum, a home education platform, the interaction of a community. This is, you think there's not going to be some, 9 to 13-year-old that sees with Firefly animation what they did and the message and the mythology behind it? They might be inspired just a little bit. This
That's
is
the
not
idea.
about. It's not about just finding your tribe out there, which you go in the crypto libertarian thing, you find a tribe, people that are of like mind, to understand the power of what you're doing. But then with that, you expand into Generation Next. That's what I look at. That's what I want my grandkids, maybe I'll get a whole bunch of it's going to be, Book of Atlas watching party, but I can see where these things, this is one thing that I've always been able to kind of visualize, is down the road. Now, I criticize a lot of people, call them 2020. They got 2020 vision, 20 miles away and 20 minutes in the future. I mean, they're not seeing it. They see all these little things, and I go, I know where this goes. Against the man. Now, of course, the man has a vision for us, but Jordan has taken not just the capability of sharing a story, a common mythology, a common view, because it's already happened. We've went through this with crypto. We've went through the promise, the betrayal, the deception, the attrition, the integration into the whatever the hell, but there's still the Jordans and the Ernies and the Rogers and the Aarons and the Satoshis or whatever out there going, no, this was the promise. How do we ignite it? Give the understanding, provide the narrative, because it's always about narrative. It's about this be the truth of, kind of the reason for America, and I pledge allegiance. But what happens if you use principle and history and the promise of individual human freedom flourishing outside of control? That's the kind of thing that this is about. It demonstrates how you can do it. It gives an inspiration. And, oh my God, Jordan and Mary have what? They have Firefly educational homeschool curriculum behind all of this, with this as credibility that feeds on each other. So that's why I think you should participate in the premiere. It is support that which you want to see more of. I want to see more of this effort, this courage, this capability. That's why we're going to be watching. Well, how's it? Would you like that? I don't care. I already like the trailer. I already like demonstration of what can be done. But, how long is it, Jordan? How long? Come on, say it.
There's the question. The full director's cut is about 3.5 hours.
Oh my God!
I know. I got you.
Movies that had intermissions for that. Are you going to have an intermission?
And there will be an intermission. Yes, there will.
Thank God.
And
Thank God.
yeah, we will. But the if and when we license it as a kind of an international property to other like to markets, domestically and internationally, we'll probably cut it down to about 2 hours. We'll probably do a 2-hour cut. And the 3.5 hour version will be like the director's cut. We also could very conceivably cut this up into 25-minute episodes and do as a season, and then Book of Atlas season 2 and Book of Atlas season 3, and then it doesn't matter. Like if if you have like 8 episodes at 25 minutes, there's your 3.5 hours.
That's doable. That's cool. But you want to see the whole vision. You want to experience it. You want to go begin the end. You want to get Jordan, because director's cut. You know what director's cut? It's what they want you to see. You will watch my director's cut. Get over it. That's what it is. But usually they're an extra 12 and a half minutes, not an extra hour and a half. I mean, oh my God. But we're going to get, because he's so passionate about this. He's been working on this for freaking ever years. When did you start this?
It's been 2 years, like this month. It's been 2 years. And at the same time, I've been building this business. I've been building Firefly, and we just launched in January, and we're building a customer base and bringing in affiliate partners, and it's really kind of amazing. And Book of Atlas has been growing in tandem with Firefly, and now they're both essentially launching around the same time. And we're, one they're connected. I mean, all of our branding and all of our our artwork and like our logo, which is this inverted firefly with the light bulb pointing up. I mean, that is what the NFTs are. That concept is what the NFTs were based on, and where some of the like a lot of the movie has like this beautiful artwork in it. I mean, do you want me to show you some of it? I don't like I could show you like the first 2 minutes of it or something. Would that be something you want to see or?
No. They got to buy the ticket. Damn it. Okay. We showed enough here to see the quality of it.
Okay.
Leave them wanting more. I'm really happy to see that this came to fruition. And that you're behind it, but it's way more than people realize. It is a mythology that you've been able to accomplish at this such a advanced graphic animation time to give it meaning, that use it in a freedom project that has way more tentacles in it than people realize. This is, home education, it's providing curriculum, creating a community, and you have the talent and the imagination and the vision and the confidence to do this kind of stuff. And I always knew you're going to, once I saw the problem, like, holy crap, they gave Jordan the wheel. Oh my God, what's he going to do with it? So that's how I see it. Hey, thanks for coming on. Go ahead and I just want people to know the main thing that they need to do, and it's go to the Book of Atlas. You go to the Book of Atlas, the page here, and you can see, we do up the URL there, thebookofatlas.com. You go to, purchase ticket, and it'll walk you through it, right? I mean, I don't need to be...
It's very easy. You just click purchase ticket. It will prompt you to connect whichever wallet you want to connect to. I'm sorry, not connect. Transact with.
Man, definitely change that wording.
You're so funny,
connect. I'm not funny.
I don't want to be
connected.
Scared. No, I don't want to be connected. No, you do it. You do it's a quick transaction. It's $20 to watch the film, and when you buy your ticket, you are in effect minting your ticket as an NFT, and so you get this collectible movie ticket, and then you also get a bonus NFT as a proof that. Of participation that you were there, and it's like we're giving you 2 NFTs and a feature length movie and a community for the price of a normal movie ticket, right? So it's we're not selling these tickets for like hundreds of dollars. It's like $20, but this is really, it is a love letter to the crypto community and the libertarian community, and we just hope people like it. I mean, and if they don't, they don't. But my hope, I put a lot of love into this and a lot of vision and a lot of time. But it was something I wanted to do. So don't cry for me, Argentina. I wanted to do this, and it was something that I poured a lot of passion into and a lot of history and there were so many really interesting coincidences that happened as I was making this. I would have this idea for the first part of the plot. I would do it, and then I would find out later that this thing that I've created, this character I created, was actually a real person that I never even knew existed. Or there would be these connections. Like I would would have all these different pieces, and I would tie them together, and like not realizing that, you know, this one's actually related to this one, and this ties up this plot hole over here. And it was like I didn't even plan that; it just happened. So there were all these really, really neat things that went down, you know, in the crafting of the story and putting it all together to be this one cohesive thing. That really kind of blew my mind, you know, over the course of the time that I've been making it. So,
hey, I want to share this, the power of this kind of stuff. I'll give you an example. While we were traveling and so on, you go on YouTube and you got, you know, at people's homes or at the hotel, whatever, and you just log in as guest, okay? I click on guest, and one of the suggested videos up there was Jordan Page Pendulum. Where the shit did that come from? You know, on the YouTube loving you again or something. I don't know what the hell. This is his video. Pendulum is my favorite song. It brings tears to my eyes every time that one line. And I'm just, you know, I met a young girl with a baby inside her, you know, or a young woman or whatever. And I looked, but there was no safe place to hide her. When that came out, was when my first grandchild was in my daughter-in-law's womb. And that was motivate. God, just talk about it, tear up. And then that song comes up on YouTube. How the shit did that happen? What's your thing with YouTube now?
Oh, they still don't like me. You know,
they liked you enough.
They still
you came in my
videos.
That was freaky as hell. I'm going, whoa! How did that happen? You know,
they're tracking you, Ernest Hancock. They know what you like. They're like,
I logged in as guest.
They know. They know where you are. They know it's you.
Yeah, that's true. That freaked me out though. But you know, the point is that that's the kind of reach this stuff has. Sooner or later, I mean, it just pings randomly. It gets to something. This is inspiring to me to see how this kind of effort you put into something. But I got to warn you, I haven't seen it, but I got to warn you, you know what's going to happen. There's going to be they, them, those trolls of, it sucked, I can't believe you even wasted blah, 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 blah. Oh, well, thank you for your comment, your input. Well, you know, bite me, you know. So this is a lot of the stuff, certainly with your music and everything, it was panned by the bad guys. You know, they didn't like a lot of the stuff in there, but of course we all loved it. So this is, you have an audience. And thank you for doing it and coming on and sharing the premiere of your premiere with us. And I want, give the dates. I don't even think we've even said the date.
So the tentative date that we're aiming for is March 29th. Right now, we're trying to get as many folks on board to help us sell tickets as possible and to get the word out. And I think if we accomplish our goals over the course of the next week, we will be sticking to that date.
Well, I encourage you to do March 29th because it's my 65th birthday.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like, I can retire now. You know, Jordan's done has done the movie. Yeah, and nice. I'm retired, you know.
Happy birthday to Ernie. Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, that's the date that I want to do. Is March 29th, and then we're really focused on that. We're also selling sponsorships to crypto companies, and you know, anybody that would like to get some exposure to this audience, to a crypto-centered audience. You know, we're you know, just email me at jordan@fireflyedu.org, and I will send you a sponsorship package. But we are looking for crypto-related sponsors, and we're talking to a bunch of different platforms right now about participating in that.
Well, that's one more motivation to have all these different blockchain crypto heroes. You know, like you get Pirate Chain and the R, you know, the pirate guy or something. I mean, you know, there's a lot of encouragement there. But thank you for coming on, Jordan, and explaining this fully to us. And I'm glad that we got to get your own creative history on this out a little bit and understand that this kind of thing is in good hands and that we're going to get freedom represented. And you can be a big part of it and get your NFTs for it, you know? So he's covered all the bases on this. You go thebookofatlas.com. Thanks, Jordan. It's always great to talk to you, man.
Thanks, Ernie. Love you, buddy.
Love you too. Peace.